Road cycling shoes, triathlon shoes. What's the difference? Which is better? Can one do it all? Do you even need road cycling shoes? Well, let's take a look. Okay, so a bit of personal history here. I'll try not to bore you too much, don't worry. When I was first introduced to this funny world of triathlon, I got myself a set of triathlon shoes, very similar to this. And that was that. That was pretty much all I ever used for training and for racing. It's got a nice, easy access, single Velcro strap, and, well, they work for cycling too. So there we go. Years later though, I was introduced to a cycling specific shoe. And I've got to say, I was blown away. I couldn't believe I hadn't got one sooner. It felt stiffer and it just fit in my foot better. To the point that I actually even started wearing a cycling specific shoe for triathlon as well. That said, did still use a triathlon shoe for short and distance racing. Why? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's take a closer look at these different types of shoes. So firstly, the cycling shoe. They're designed for comfort, for holding the foot securely, and for the best power transfer possible. Now personally, when I first started using cycling shoes, the bit that I noticed the most was just how well it held and supported the foot, particularly around the arch region for myself. And also, cycling shoes tend to be stiffer through the sole. And given that these are, or the pedals are, one of our main contact points with the bike and where we deliver our power to the bike, it's pretty important. Whereas for the triathlon shoe, they're obviously designed so that we get our feet in and out of them quickly. So to do that, we normally have a quick fastening method, normally 1 or 2 big Velcro straps like we've got here. You'll also notice that most triathlon shoes will have a little finger loop on the back. That helps with pulling the shoe on and for the use of elastic bands to help with flying mounts out T1. And also the upper material or design can be a little different. Given that triathletes will typically have damp feet as they jump on their bike, the upper tends to be a little more breathable to reduce moisture or dampness. You may even notice some drainage holes on the bottom of the shoe too. And then the inner material is also designed to be comfortable for those athletes that opt to race sockless. Well, the result is a great shoe. It clearly has triathlon covered, but to achieve that, has it made some compromises? Well, the short answer is yes. I guess if there wasn't, we would see pro cyclists wearing triathlon shoes. And interestingly, we quite often see pro triathletes and many other triathletes wearing cycling shoes too. So clearly, for the sole purpose of cycling, cycling shoes are preferred. And where quick transitions are less important, like in long course triathlon racing, cycling shoes are preferred by many there too. And the reasons for this are that, well, making a triathlon shoe quicker to access, it basically makes it harder to secure the foot as well. And if anyone's ever worn a cycling shoe before, they've felt how well it fits and hugs the feet, I guess you could say. And that, in addition to often having that soft, cushy inner of a triathlon shoe, it can feel like a lessened or worsened transfer of power. I mean, we're talking minute amounts, and probably it's just a feeling rather than fact, but for many, that's enough, myself included. So in that case, should we all be considering wearing cycling shoes for triathlon? Well, no, it's not quite that straightforward. Whether you're planning on putting your bike shoes on before you leave transition and walking out with them on, or doing a flying mount, triathlon shoes are quick and easy to get into. And if that matters to you, then they're made for you. After all, in the professional short course racing scene, you will pretty much only see triathlon shoes, because in draft legal racing, every second counts. They want to make those bike packs, so they wear triathlon shoes. Still left scratching your head as to which to choose? Well, hang on. If you give me 2 more minutes of your time, I'll try and help you out. So I'm going to do a very unscientific experiment here. I've created a bit of a transition area here. So I've got 2 cones marking out a mount line. I've got a cone further down there that I'm going to turn around, and then I'm going to come back and use that same line for dismounting. I've got my bike racked up on the wall here, and because this is an experiment, I'm going to do a few different scenarios here. So I'm going to be doing them in both the road shoes and the triathlon shoes. I'm going to do a flying mount, and I'm also going to do the standard putting the shoes on, walking through the transition area and jumping on. Let's go. Well, that certainly went a lot better than a few years ago. Some of you may remember my slight mishap in a very similar experiment. But anyway, the results are as expected, really. The triathlon shoes were certainly quicker than the cycling shoes, and the flying mounts were quicker than the normal kind of putting your shoes on and walking through transition job. Just a quick sum up of the results. So with the cycling shoes on the flying mount, I went 50 seconds. And then with the triathlon shoes on the flying mount, 45 seconds. So whilst 5 seconds may not sound like much, that could make all the difference in a short distance triathlon or a draft legal triathlon where you need to make those bike packs. But for long distance racing, 5 seconds really isn't that much. And for the sake of a more comfortable shoe, a stiffer shoe, and many other things. And those benefits are going to be far greater over a longer distance race. Obviously, the flying mounts were quicker than the walkthroughs, putting the shoes on and stuff. But I was quite surprised by the difference between the two shoes. And the reason for that, which I hadn't really thought about, is the fact that I was having to buckle up 2 BOA laces on both shoes while static rather than moving as I was in the flying mount. So yeah, quite interesting. Obviously, this was an unusually short transition area, having to grab the bike, walk up to the line. If this was a longer transition area, you might have seen a bigger difference between the flying mounts and the walkthroughs. But nonetheless, the triathlon shoe was certainly quicker versus the cycling shoe through transition. So for those short distance races where every second counts or it's draft legal, I'd definitely go for a triathlon shoe in my opinion, and then a cycling shoe for those longer distance racing. But it is entirely up to you. Everyone's feet are different and have different preferences in terms of comfort. So a little like buying a saddle, I'd really recommend trying different ones on, or even better, go into a local bike shop and get them to help you and trying a load on there. I hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. If so, please do give it a thumbs up, give it a like. If you've got any more questions about these shoes, and I mean, I've tried a lot over my years in the triathlon, then please drop them in the comment section down below. And if you'd like to see more, make sure you subscribe to the channel.